far northwest corner of Canada, wedged between the rugged Alaska Range and the Yukon's St. Elias Mountains, there lives a modern-day mountain man, knowledgeable and experienced in the ways of the wild. Lance Goodwin has been in partnership with this wilderness environment for more than 20 years. For several weeks, he has been preparing his trapline for the oncoming winter. A cold one by all indications. The days are growing shorter, and the nights are crisp with frost. Soon the leaves will fall, and snow will come. The trapline is nearly ready, and now is the time to hunt a moose for winter food. For Lance, it's one more job to do. He has a full day ahead to get to where he's chosen to hunt. There's no telling how long the hunt will take, or what's waiting for him on the way. It's his favorite time of year. Cold Arctic air has colored the land, and there's fresh snow on the mountain peaks. It's time for the moose to begin their mating season, or rut. Moose hunting is a necessity of his life here. But for Lance, it's much more than that, more than an adventure. To live within the wilderness, dependent upon his own limited resources, to become part of the environment. This is the very meaning of his life. To reach his destination, Lance must travel upstream for a full day. This year, he's chosen to go further east into plateau country, away from the rugged coast mountains where he hunted in previous years. For several hours, he paddles against the swift current of the main river. By late afternoon, he's turned off onto a small, shallow tributary which leads to a series of lakes, separated by beaver dams and slow-moving channels. The calm water is a welcome rest from the river current, and he has a chance to survey the area. He was much impressed with the abundance of moose living here when he explored this country earlier in the summer. He has already chosen an area to hunt and picked out the place he will camp. As he enters the country he will be hunting in, he spots a cow moose and her yearling feeding in a bay off to his left. Forcing away an urge to linger and watch the moose, he paddles around them, not wanting them to sense him. He must get to his campsite before dark. The campsite he's chosen is on the western shore of a large lake. The camp will be out of sight and wind of the moose he has come to hunt. At the same time, he'll be able to hear, see, and access the places they live. The cache Lance left during the summer is intact. He prepares his camp with the swift and practiced movements of a skilled bushman. Lance will now be hunting every second of the day until he gets his moose. He's a self-taught hunter, determined not to miss anything, especially the prey he seeks. And there it is, a bull moose drinking from the lake a half-mile away, alone and unconcerned. This adventure has started. The primal hunter within him is fully awake. But it's been a long day, and it's time to get some rest. Cold Arctic air that crept in during the night has left the valley covered in a thick shroud of mist. Lance knows the rays of a rising sun will clear this cloud away, melt the hoarfrost, and warm the land. It's cold enough this morning for the moose to be on the move. If the moose were in rut, he would hear them. The sounds of a cow bawling or a bull grunting would be carried over the lake. For now, hunting is a waiting game. Lance will be patient and not disturb the moose he knows are living close by. Soon weather flowing over the mountains from the Alaskan coast will draw summer to a close. It is then, when the entire day is immersed in the cold of the approaching winter, that the moose rut will be set in motion. For now, the moose will conserve their energy, moving only during the cool hours of the day. Lance could knock this grouse down with an arrow, but he has no need. He has food enough for many days. There's wolf sign amongst the many moose tracks Lance sees. The wolf is an opportunist and wide-ranging in its search for food. They don't kill many moose this time of year, when the big ungulates are in their prime. Moose usually succumb to wolves during late winter, when their energy level is at its lowest. The track of a big bull, 1,400 pounds on the hoof. Lance spends most of his day exploring around a small lake. He knows the moose are here. Some are probably laying down in the woods not far from the lake shore. He decides to head back to camp before dark. Before he gets to his canoe, he runs into a grizzly bear. He crouches just off the trail to let the animal go by. The grizzly senses him at about 40 feet and decides to go around at a more comfortable distance. Experience has taught Lance to be constantly aware of his surroundings. A failure to spot the bear could have led to a surprise encounter, and that could have been dangerous. Lance absorbs energy from the morning's cold. He feels a primitive need to be ready for this seasonal change. A time to harvest, a time to hunt. A bull moose has quietly materialized, 300 yards across the bay. Nothing to do but watch and be still. Any movement, any sound, and the moose will spook and leave. Another smaller bull walks from the trees. Their friendly interaction indicates that for them, the rut has not started. If it had, the big bull would probably be grunting and in the company of at least one cow. They've just stepped out for a drink before retiring to the trees for the day. After months of continuous feeding, these bulls are in their prime, fat, sleek, and powerful. Lance has no choice but to let them go. The bulls are unaware of his presence. They won't travel far. He may see them again. During the warm part of the day, Lance climbs high on the mountainside to get a better feeling for the lay of the land below. He studies the landscape, filing away information that will eventually be drawn upon to make his hunt successful. He determines the quickest and quietest routes to access areas that moose are most likely to be, and memorizes the network of moose trails that connect the meadows and encircle the lakes. It's warm, and the moose are under the canopy of the forest, except for a lone cow feeding unhurried along the edge of a meadow. In the evening, he's back to where he had seen the two bull moose that morning. He waits until near dark. Except for the activities of the resident beaver and a family of river otter far out on the lake, all is quiet and still. No sign of moose. Since the early morning, Lance has been at the edge of a large meadow, not far from the end of the lake he's camped on. Patiently listening, watching. Nothing to be seen or heard, except the small flock of green-winged teal feeding vigorously in the slough beside him. As the temperature begins to rise, he crosses the meadow to check for sign on the other side. While walking in the open, he spots a bull straight ahead. If the bull doesn't see him, Lance will let him go by, then quickly find an ambush in the trees and try to call him back. Not to be. The bull spots him. Curious but wary, the bull approaches at an angle. 60 yards. Lance doesn't often get this close in the open, especially at the initiative of the moose. The bull loses interest. The bull stops, but has picked up human scent. Lance knows that if he'd been walking along the edge of the meadow instead of straight across it, he might have ambushed that bull. He spent the rest of the day in the meadow without luck, and on his way back to the canoe, he spotted a movement ahead near the shore. A young yearling bull. He had obviously heard Lance approaching. Right on the shore, but already aware. Not a chance. The bull doesn't stop. Nervous and not old enough to be into the rut, he vanishes. Insult is added to injury when he reaches his canoe. He's startled by a bull in the water to his immediate right, responding to the call Lance aimed at the yearling bull just minutes before. Again, caught in the open. He's excited and bold, even though Lance is in full view, closer than 30 yards. An easy shot if the bull wasn't in the water. Lance wishes this was happening in the bush. He'd get this one. Finally, the age-old scent that moose identify with danger mutes the mating instincts, and the bull swims to safer ground. At dawn, the northern sky is painted red. To the south, snow-laden mountain peaks awaken to a dark air mass, slowly moving in from the Alaskan coast. Lance welcomes the weather change. The moisture-carrying clouds will trap the cold night air. Cooler days will prevail, causing the rut to intensify. He's decided to walk through a series of interconnected meadows to the east of his camp. Another hunter, a hawk owl, surveys the meadow. Lance watches a cow and calf closely, hoping to see a bull follow them. The two seem to be alone. He watches the pair's every move until he's convinced that there isn't a bull with them. After hunting his way slowly through the meadows, Lance is surprised that he's not seen or heard a bull. It's unusually quiet. A fresh rut hole, dug by a bull moose as part of the mating ritual. The bull could still be close, especially if he has a cow with him. He was surprised at the reply he got to his call, and he also understood why the hunting was slow. The wolves won't show themselves, but are eager to make their presence known. Suddenly, as quickly as it started, the performance is over. Lance appreciates the harmony, but knows that now he has to concentrate his hunting efforts elsewhere. By the late afternoon, he's spotted a big bull in an opening across a small lake. The bull has not moved for some time, so Lance thinks he's probably with some cows that are further back in the trees. He decides against a stalk. To approach a moose in a thicket like that could take hours, and he'd probably spook other moose that must be in there. He watches the area well into the evening. Two bulls, probably after the same cow, a good sign. With two bulls in the group, his chance of success increases dramatically. He'll be back early in the morning. The weather arrived during the night, and with it came the first hint of winter. Wet snow covers the mountain slopes to within a few yards of the lake. Cold, moisture-laden clouds promise that more is on the way. He knows the moose are rutting hard now. In this cold, they'll be active all day. He's near the spot he was the previous evening. A cow off to his left. There she is. A bull. Two bulls. 400 yards straight ahead. Just off the shore in the trees. It's probably the same big bull with his cows. The other may be smaller or younger. The cow to his left is still there. If the bulls are aware of this cow, one of them may try to pursue her. Lance decides to set up in the bush between them. If he doesn't intercept a bull, he's still in a good position to stalk them. The wind is good. The bush is perfect for an ambush. The cow, now behind him, probably just walked through here. Just one bull, and he's moving his way. His position is good. The grunting has stopped. The bull is standing still, listening. He's coming in fast. This might be it. Lance realizes that the bull only has one antler. He's going to get a shot. "30 feet away, he discovers the feathered end of the arrow. There's no blood, so he just follows the tracks with a practiced eye. The bull seems to have run parallel to the shore. He shouldn't go far, especially with an arrow in his heart. He finds the bull, laying conveniently on the lake shore about 400 yards from where he shot it. The fact that the bull has only one antler leaves Lance thinking hard about fate. 2 moose with one antler in 2 consecutive years. What are the odds? The bull did have 2 antlers, but the left one may have been deformed and smaller. It had been broken off, probably from fighting. The hunting is over, and now the work begins. The razor-tipped arrowhead had done its job well, slicing right through the heart and both lungs. The arrowhead had stayed in the chest cavity, continuing its damage with every step the bull took. He keeps the meat clean and cool. The outside of the meat will dry, making it lighter and easier to handle for the trip home. This will be his last night at this camp. Tomorrow morning, the meat will be loaded into the canoe, and he will head back downstream. The hunt is over, the job almost completed. The sky is clear once again. This night will be the coldest yet. His body finally warmed from paddling. Lance pauses and reflects on this past 7 days in this high mountain valley. He feels a sense of pride, compassion, and gratitude for what he has been given and what he has experienced. He thinks about the moose he killed, the concentration of all his effort, has been building toward those few seconds of action and truth. When arrow hits flesh and bone.